The Public Procurement Law 2003 Act 663 guides the process of public procurement in the public service. This law attempts to fight corruption by ensuring transparency and fairness in the procurement processes, given the huge role public expenditure plays in the economy and the tendency for abuse of public funds by officials. Public procurement as a magnet for corruption has become a critical issue that has to be explored in the fight against corruption. Imani, Ghana today outdoored a research report on the challenges of procurement in Ghana. On the line is a research consultant at Imani, Mr. Dennis Asari, to tell us more. Good afternoon, Mr. Asari, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Asari, can you give us highlights of the report on the challenges of procurement in Ghana?
Thank you very much. So if you look at generally what the report sought to do was to understand the drivers of public procurement irregularities, despite the huge sums of money we spent in reforming the sector. The Auditor General estimates that in the last 10 years, procurement irregularities recorded are about 143 million Ghana cedis, and 115 million out of that were recorded between 2016 and 2020, a period where we amended the legislation and even implemented an electronic procurement platform. The main drivers of procurement irregularities and factors affecting effective procurement in Ghana is that there's lack of enforcement of the procurement law. Public institutions are breaching the law and nothing is happening. And it's because we have failed to apply the sanctions in the Act and punish people for wrongdoing. That is why this culture of tolerance for abuse of the PPE Act continues to persist. Another factor we also identified was that there is a weak internal audit system. That is, the internal auditors that are supposed to provide some breaks and ensure quality assurance in government spending within the public institutions. These internal auditors do not have actionable effects on the business. So they see transactions going through the business, but they can't stop the transaction. So what happens is that people commit government already, we lose money before we go back to correct the errors. So consistently, when people abuse the law, these internal auditors are able to stop the process. Another issue too is that the internal controls, like the entity tender committees, that their composition do not lend them to be independent. Majority of the members are from the institution, and it is very hard for a particular institution's members to hold themselves accountable. Other issues we identified is that the electronic platform that is supposed to ensure transparency and enhance accountability in public procurement. 76% of public institutions are not using the electronic platform, in spite of the over $10 million we spend in building the system. So all of these factors combined with a lack of ethics and professionalism in the practice of procurement in Ghana to lead to the increased procurement irregularities we see from the Auditor General's report.
So from all the factors that you've mentioned, would it be right to say that Ghana's procurement law has failed to meet its mandate?
We wouldn't say that it has failed. The law is designed in line with international best practice, but in terms of its practice, we have failed to enforce it and ensure that public institutions comply. And the only way to ensure public institutions comply with the law is to apply the full sanctions stated in the law.
So what recommendations are you suggesting to sanitize the procurement process in the country?
So first, what we are recommending is that the use of the Ghana electronic procurement system must be mandatory so that citizens like you and I can track how public institutions are spending our money through procurement. Secondly, internal auditors should be empowered to be able to take actionable effect on the business when a particular transaction is suspicious. Another recommendation is that it is time for us to review the composition of the entity tender committees. Then again, we should also empower the due diligence unit in the PPE to conduct independent assessment
that tries to identify the errors or some pitfalls surrounding certain transactions in order to reduce the extent to which that people commit government before we come back to address the issues. Then lastly, we should harmonize all the procurement qualification institutions or certification agencies, bring them together, get a codified standard of ethics to guide the practice of procurement in Ghana.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.